Hi everyone, my name is Mark Moikins from Big Mountain Studio. I'm here to help you ascend that big mountain of development knowledge, so subscribe and click on that bell icon so you can get notified when I come out with new videos. We have a lot of hard-coded strings in our project right now. I'm going to give you some tips on reducing hard-coded strings in this video. So what's the problem with hard-coded strings? Well, for one, and probably the biggest reason, is the compiler cannot catch mistakes that you make or other developers on your team make when they type in the incorrect string. This increases the chance of error of your application failing. So that's the biggest problem right there. And some other things is there's no autocomplete. So when you're typing in a hard-coded string, Xcode will not help you out. Hard-coded strings are just harder to track when you're working with multiple developers. They're adding hard-coded strings, you're adding hard-coding strings. They might not know about yours, you don't know about theirs. So it just increases the liability of your app crashing at runtime, not at build time, because your app will build. Okay, so the string describing function will allow us to handle a lot of these hard-coded strings, and we've used this before. If you remember, when we select a trip, we execute this code below to navigate to the trip details or the activity screen. So I'm getting the storyboard name by using the string describing function here. The string describing, along with the .self after the class name, is excellent for getting a string representation of a type. Now notice the description here. It says, creates a string representation of a given value. Well, a class, struct, protocol, etc. is a type. It's not a value. And so to get a value representation of a class, we use that .self notation. The .self is an expression that allows us to access that type as a value instead of an instance of a class. And the Swift documentation says you can use the postfix self expression, and postfix means it just goes behind instead of before, to access a type as a value. For example, some class.self returns some class itself as a value, not an instance of some class, and some protocol.self returns some protocol itself as a value, not an instance of a type that conforms to some protocol at runtime. Okay, so we're going to go into our project and we're going to look for some hard-coded strings that we've built up over time, and I'm going to show you some ways that we can reduce the references to these strings. Okay, so we're in our project, and this is the activities view controller. And this is the table views, data source, and delegate. And here I have a reference to the header cell. We were dequeuing this so we could return the content view for our custom header. And further up in the code, I use header cell again to dequeue the cell so I can get the height. So, of course, what can happen is we might update that identifier and give it a different name. And you know what? It's going to compile just fine. It doesn't care. But when we run the application, it's going to fail. Okay, so what's one way that we can get rid of this hard-coded string? Well, one of the ways that we can do is we can just get the string directly from header table view cell. For example, what if we did something like this? And then I say identifier. Now, there isn't an identifier property right now, but I can make this a convention in my application. So I can just create a property that always returns the string that I'm going to use as the identifier. So let's do that. I'm going to hold down Command, I'm going to right click and go into the header table view cell. And I'll just create a property. It'll be a static property so I can get it without having to instantiate the class. And then I'm going to use that string describing function again. There it is. Okay, and then I'll just return self. Okay, it builds. Now let's come back to the code. And this will work right here. So I'll just copy that. And then I'll paste it there. Okay, so let's run that just to make sure it works. Okay, we go into trip to Bali, and that's awesome. Okay, so why didn't this work? It's because I didn't update the identifier on the storyboard. So if we come in here, now what's going to be returned here? It's going to be the name of this class as a string, right? Header table view cell. So I'm just going to copy that because that's going to be my string. Then I'll come into the storyboard, look at the properties, and let's click on our cell. It was our header cell. And let's update its identifier. So the easiest way to remember this, if you're going to be following this convention, is you just come into the custom class. You can just copy it from here and then go to the identifier. And the identifier will always have the same name as the name of the custom class that you're using, because that's where you're getting the identifier from. So if we come into cell, what we'd have to do is we'd have to do the same thing. We'd have to grab the name of the custom class, go to the identifier, and paste it in there. So let's update the activity table view cell. And if we come down here, we see we're dequeuing the cell using this old identifier. Now, here's what I'd have to do. I'd have to paste that in there and then type in identifier like that. And then I'd have to create the property so it can get the string representation of the name of the class. Well, it doesn't exist yet. And I feel like I'm kind of duplicating my work right now because I just went into the header table view cell and I added this property. Now I'd have to add this property to this activity table view cell as well. Is there an easier way I can do this without having to duplicate this code over and over again? There is. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an extension of the UI table view cell. So I have a folder up here that holds on to my extensions. And we're just going to basically add this property to the extension of UI table view cell. So it's available for all table view cells. Okay, and then we're going to create an extension of the UI table view cell. There we go. And you know what? It doesn't recognize the UI table view cell because we're not accessing UIKit. That's where UI table view cell lives. You can tell because of the prefix here, UI. Okay, now for the property, we're basically just going to create something like we had before. It'll be a class or, like a static. And we'll create our property name. And we're going to return self. Okay, so there we go. We have our nice little computed property here. A computed property is just something that returns a value. It doesn't store a value. So it computes the value that it's returning. Okay, let's build that, make sure it runs. I see an error up here. I'm not quite sure where that's from. Probably something I didn't finish. Oh, yeah, okay. So the identifier property that I created before, it's conflicting with the new identifier property that I just created that's in the UI table view cell. So now we can get rid of this. And now what we did with this extension is we gave all UI table view cells this identifier property. So if we come back into our view controller, so now this will work. The activity table view cell identifier. Now notice I didn't create a property on activity table view cell, but I did create a property on UI table views. So this property will return activity table view cell as a string. So that's an easy way to handle it right there. Is you just create an extension on UI table view cell and you have it return the string representation of itself. Now there's another place that we can update this too, because we have a table view on the trips view controller. So let's update that. Yeah, right here, we're just using cell. So we're just going to access the identifier, the new identifier property that we created on the trips table view cell. And there it is. Now, if you wanted to, like this doesn't have a property and you can give your developers a way to understand what this property is that you created. So we can just create a comment for this property. Now, if I do this, like maybe I say, returns a string representation of this class. Well, if you create a comment like this, it's not going to really help out other developers. You're not like making it easy for them. So if they come here and maybe they click on option, it turns into a question mark and, there's no comment in here. So what you could do instead, let's go back, is just give it 3 slashes instead. And then this makes it a comment that can be viewed in, it's sort of like documenting your code. So if I hold down option again, I click on here, it says returns a string representation of this class. And it'll also show up over here too. Returns a string representation of this class. So that makes it easier for developers to understand and get quick access to what it was you're creating and what this new identifier property does. One thing that I forgot to do real quick is let's just go into our storyboard because I forgot to update that identifier on the storyboard. So we just go to the cell. I'm going to the custom class. I'm just going to copy that. And this is our new identifier. There, easy as that. Then we'll just run it and just make sure it still runs. There we go. We have our headers back and everything's working perfectly. Okay, that's it for this video. But you may notice, like if you look at the other view controllers, we still do have some other identifiers, such as our segue identifier. So if you guys have an idea or a way that you would handle this identifier for segues, then leave a comment below. There are a few different ways. There's multiple ways that you can handle it, but I'd love to hear from the community and different ideas that you guys have. All right, guys, that's it for this video. You learned how to create an extension to supply an identifier or a string representation for the class. Okay, so let's keep climbing that big mountain to be a great developer. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share this video on Twitter or Facebook. You can tag me on Twitter. My handle is right down there. Subscribe, and if you'd like to help out the channel, you can provide a translation in your own native language just for the title and description, and this helps people in your country find this video. All right, thanks, guys.